Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We have just punched up live on YouTube. We got about an hour. And so we just wanted to give you a little midday view. This is absolutely classic Fed week action. Absolutely classic. We get a takedown before the Fed. We get a bounce in light volume into the Fed. And now we get the follow through. And the Fed's off the front pages, out of the way. The damage is done, and we're sitting pretty. I hope nobody got sucked in buying that bullshit little bounce there from the last 24 to 36 hours. We exploited that with our options and came in and got more short options in that bounce for the latter part of March. Here today, we'll explain. Oops. Okay, Abby. Sorry about that. We'll explain in a moment or two how we opted to play this week. We're well above our weekly plan. So we slowed our breathing down, we slowed our trading down, and decided to ride this NQ. Now it got close. It got close overnight, but we held on to our weekly plan, and so we're well above it. We're some $9,000 for the week. Will most likely come out of this either later today or late, hopefully late tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll keep you posted. Any questions, let us know. We'll be back in a few. Good morning or late good morning to everybody. It's Bagger, and we're still on our short trade. We most certainly are. And again, we're doing something a little bit different this week because of how we punched up so quickly and so fast on Monday, an unusual positive outlier that put us with one mini contract, put us multiples ahead of our weekly plan. So what we did was we made a little adjustment and decided not to work too hard the rest of the week. And that was to go ahead and get short on a position basis, provided we stayed above our weekly plan. We got a little close to it last night, but we're okay. And we're now once again well above it, up about 9 grand for the week. And we'll see. Now, we do think that those lows from Monday are going to get revisited. Just how soon? We'd like to see it done today and or tomorrow, but they are going to get revisited. We also have options on. So while everyone else was getting all whooped up in a lather and buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip, we were getting our options on for the end of March. The market, I know everyone wants, the market to go straight up or straight down and do it all in about 2 hours. It's just not the way the market works. It doesn't. And so it will test your resolve or test your skill set, your flying skill. Wasn't that a horrible situation too, by the way? Up there in DC. Awful, 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 awful. Um, yeah, that was absolutely tragic. But it defies. They had relatively pretty good visualization, but accidents can occur. Here, we get ourselves set up for the plan that we're trying to execute, and it changed, on Monday morning, and then we adapt. Now, next week we'll go right back to doing what we normally do. Um, if anybody's been on those I think it was an American Eagle flight, wasn't it? It's like I mean, if it's the same type of plane, I haven't had to fly in years. If I don't have to fly again, I'm okay with that. Totally okay with it. Flew a bunch in our early years, and I was never really comfortable with it. But I was on a flight, one of those I had to take a number of those American Eagle flights. It's like a flying bathtub, and I remember distinctly one night, and we were trying to remember. I had to fly from Philadelphia, beautiful, to LaGuardia. That was it, LaGuardia. It was a shithole back then. I don't know what it is today. Maybe they've redone it. And I was on an American Eagle flight. We had a surgeon thing on the next day, Saturday. It was a Saturday, and it was snowing. It was snowing, and I'm thinking, holy crap. And it was just all a bunch of business guys on this thing, and we were getting tossed around, and he was started to circle, and we were circling LaGuardia for about an hour. It was really pissing me off. I was like, will you just put this damn thing down? Just take us someplace, I just let's get down because you could see the snow, you know. It was a prop. It was a prop plane. He had the lights because he was circling the airport, and you could just see it going sideways. I'm like, Jesus. And then finally, after about an hour of circling, the pilot comes on and says, "Hey, folks, we're going to have to divert to Elmira. Is it Elmira or Elvira? I think it's Elmira. We're going to have to divert to Elmira, New York, before we run out of fuel." And I'm like, "Blessed Jesus, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you on that, okay? Let's go to Elmira." you know. And then he said, "When we get to Elmira, we're going to gas up, and then we're going to come back to LaGuardia. But it'll be up to you. If you want to get back on the plane, or you can stay overnight in Elmira and and make arrangements, to get to your New York destination the next day. Well, what do you think Baggett did? I kissed the ground when we landed, and it was snowing like a son of a bitch in Elmira. Kissed the ground for God's sakes. I'm like, like, you want to go? You want to wait for us to refuel? I'm like, hell no. You want a flight ticket for tomorrow? No, no, I don't. I'm not getting back on that tub. I'll rent a car and drive back to the city, the next day, which is what I did. That night, that night, I get that I don't even think we had cell phones back then. And I call Susan, and we had flown a lot. I call Susan from the hotel, and she's like, where I am? I'm like, I'm in Elmira. And I'm like, Susie, that was a badass flight. I said, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's going to be in New York, but in the Northeast, the weather was really bad that night. And I'm like, there's going to be a plane crash. I mean, it was that bad. I mean, they shouldn't have been up, and they were up. And as I'm talking to Susan, Susan's like, oh, wait a minute, Don. Wait a minute. There's breaking news. There's just been a plane crash. I shit you not. And I'm like, wait a minute. I turn on the news, and there it is, a breaking news story. And it was the Avianca plane crash. So you could go back, I don't know what year that was. The Avianca plane from South America had crashed going into LaGuardia. Now, my guess is, now we found out, months later that it was thought that Avianca, it's Avianca, I think it's from Venezuela or someplace, that they had run out of fuel. They were probably also circling, right? And so I theorized, never really knew, that we were probably circling, and the guy's running down on his fuel, but we were probably up there when the Avianca plane went in. And he probably said, "Oh, screw this. Let's just, get out of here. We're not gonna, we're gonna be screwed up here." And he didn't want to tell us that a plane just crashed. And it was a that was a big passenger jet. That was the last time I was ever on an American Eagle. I'm like, I'm never getting on that tub again. I'll drive. If it's ever, they do these short hops, like from Philly to New York or Boston, I guess, whatever. That was it. Never got on another prop plane again. Um, no thanks. What a horror show. It's one of the nice things about trading for a living. I don't have to fly anywhere. No more conference calls. I mean, we'll do our Zoom things, but I don't have a boss. I don't have a whole lot of paperwork. Um, nope, pretty comfortable. Very, very comfortable. Unfortunately, we couldn't do this, before the 2000s. I mean, you really couldn't. Um, So that, the technology is such, I don't, that applies not just to trading, but to everything. I mean, the world is truly getting smaller and more connected. So it's a beautiful thing. So again, I just want to describe to everybody that might be passing by what is going on. Why is Don sitting on a $6,000 dry down? A little bit unusual, right? We've tried to explain why we did. So let me explain what's taking place, what we decided to do. It is different. Maybe I shouldn't have, but we did what we did. Um, we started the week with a beginning balance of approximately 30. We carried the mini over from from Friday. What we did, the market gapped down on Sunday night, as you know, and on Monday morning, we captured about an $18,000 thereabouts. It was, I think it's about 16 or 18. I don't have the scorecard right in front of me, but about a 16 or 18,000. Um, the high watermark, which we didn't get, was up 24,000. So the account was actually at, if you're looking at the account value was at 54. That was the peak. I wasn't up for it, so I wouldn't have got it. But so we've been higher. So we made a decision. We have, I don't want to describe this on YouTube. Our members know what it is. We do describe it in on during Q School because you can morph this into your own plan. But we have a plan, a weekly plan on each market that we're trading, and in particular, this is the NQQ or the QQQ side or NQ Nasdaq, and we're well over because of that big fat gap down, which is a positive outlier, which is what we like to have. You can't count on something like that. It was an exceptional outlier, but it put us well above our weekly goal. So what we decided to do is just to slow everything down, and we could see the bounce coming. You may have played the bounce, but we thought that it would be just the bounce. Now, I didn't think it was going to be as significant as it's been. I mean, it was a pretty sizable bounce, putting us down seven, put us down as much as 10 on this position. So it was much more vigorous than I would have thought. But we made the decision to just go ahead. We captured that profit and go ahead and get short the NQ, keep eyes on it. If the account value should fall just below our weekly plan, we'll exit stage right, finish the week, and get back to what we normally do. It got close, but it didn't quite get there. So the thought is, and we're going to see if we get this, we think, right? And I discussed this with Susie. We had plenty of time. We think that we're going to revisit the low on Monday morning. Now, is it going to be this week? I hope so. I can't, we can never know, but it is going to get tested again. It is. It could be next week, and so I may have a decision to make on Friday, and chances are I'll probably just clear the deck and get back to normal. But so if we do revisit the low, it's Abby. She's very busy security day here in the Marshall household. I mean, we got Amazon trucks. We've had the landscaper. It's also trash day. She is one busy golden retriever. And if she lets out a bark, at the front door, you got to reward her with treats because we have some leaded glass in the front door, and she probably destroying her vision, but that's, her position. Again, I've told you, Ted does, mail. He's the mailman, and so everyone's got a job. But so if we do revisit the low, that $7,000 draw that you see will get cleaned right out. We'll be back. The account will be back at 45. And if we can take it out and accelerate into the weekend, maybe we see the 54 on the account that it briefly saw overnight that Monday. Um, and maybe it does something more. So that's the plan. A little bit different. Um, certainly, if we played the bounce, I would have had to have been a little more attentive, a little more. Um, and it's what I chose to do. So little different. We don't ordinarily do that. Now, yesterday, do want you to know, we most certainly did. We came in and got more options on the S&P for the end of March into that rally. Now, if we got those wrong after a few days, we'll judge that. But we still think that low is going to get tested, and we think that low is going to get taken out. Don't you trade on it, right? You don't want to trade on anyone's else's opinion or conjecture or whatever it is it's coming from. Um, what I'm saying, why I'm doing it is I have the tools on my desktop. Susan has the tools on her desktop. And, I'm going to say, Susie, what do you see for the S&P? Get back to me, and when they jive, we're seeing much the same thing, then we take action and we hope we got it right. But you don't have those tools. So you don't want to, you put in, if you put on too much or, and you're not confident, um, you'll muck it up, right? So don't muck it up. Right. So but we're just showing you, let us muck it up, but we're going to be okay. So we never know, if we're going to get the, good morning, Jay Stewart. Good morning. Now, this is only going to be for an hour. It's 11:27. We punched up at 11. At about 12 or 12:15, we will have to turn down. We have a lot of folks now rolling in and rolling out of Q schools. So we're pretty busy. So we wanted to punch up. Let's go take a peek if we can here. Let's go see. The thing's back to doing that thing. So this is where we be, right? This is the move down. This is on the S&P. This is the move down from overnight Sunday night to Monday, blowing out this swing point and blowing out that one too. It blew it out. Not by much, but it did. So those are now negated. This, in our view, has to get tested. You know, and this here as well might need to get tested, and I think it got tested yesterday. And I think that's about it. And that's kind of classic of what happens, and especially around Fed Day. What we'll see a lot of times, the market may take a dumper in front of the Fed, then it'll come roaring back. The Fed will come out, dazzle the media with the bullshit, and the market just finishes flat, and everyone says, "Oh, that was a big nothing." And now the Fed is out of the news, away, and this is where the market is going to show her hand. And we think, not just because of this, we got other tools, but we think this will resolve itself to test this out. And that's what we want to see. We want to see that 59.48. And if we can accelerate when we get there and that breaks, then we're going down here. And it could happen quickly. And it could happen overnight. They're sneaky little bastards. I mean, that move on Sunday, this move here happened overnight when everyone was sleeping. And then everyone got short in the hole and then they got, squeezed out. Now you can't short the market, you know, it always comes back and, yeah, okay. So we'll see. We shall see. Let's bring us back. Oop, there's this guy. So I describe that because that's not how we ordinarily, you know, trade or play during the week. And it just so happened that's the way I decided to play it this week. And of course, we get a healthier bounce than I would have thought, but it is what it is. I'm going to, it's been fairly comfortable week though, because we got to our weekly plan overnight on Monday. So, I mean, if I don't get the account to the high back to the high water mark, then I don't. But I hit our weekly plan, and next week will be another week. I get another shot at it. We're not trying, you know, um, how do I put this? Um, we are trying to get positive outliers. We most definitely are. We don't want any negative, none, no negative outliers. We're not going to get every positive outlier, and we're not, that's it on each trade, but we're not trying necessarily, especially with futures, to get, that account outlier. You make, 25, 30,000 in a day. Um, those are few and far between every once in a while. But on, on one mini, I mean, that's, you don't want to be playing for that. That's not normal. Now, if you're playing with options, um, we're going out, 50 to 60 days. Um, you get a put option on the S&P. You get about 50 or 60 days. That put option today is going to cost you about 10 grand. Um, you don't want to lose more than half your premium. You don't want to lose more than half your time. Um, could you make 5 grand, 10 grand? You could. Um, but if you are holding one of those S&Ps and the market goes down, just a 10% correction, well, then you're gonna make about 60 grand. So that 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 type of an option trade, can cover up a lot of sins and a lot of other misses. Um, I do like to do those option trades on the S&P, not all the time, but there are certain times when the odds and the probabilities kind of line up. We think that might be now, but we might be a little early. We may have to roll them out. It may not, this correction that we're expecting, may not happen until March, right? And so the damn options, depending upon how you structure them, and we've gone with straight puts because I don't want to deal with the other leg. So it isn't the most probable trade. You would probably do better. You won't make as much, selling call spreads, if you're out just to, make some money. But we'll see. Any questions, let us know. And Steve, I see you this morning. Good morning. Steve is one of our members. Steve, we are on YouTube, but I did get your note the other day. Just want you to know you're welcome to call me anytime. Um, so I'll leave it up to you. Just know that. And or if you wanna, Steve reached out to me the other day, and again, a long-standing member. You can always text me, Steve. If you want to set up a specific time. So I just wanted to say good morning. Our members, our annual members have everything. This is for folks on YouTube. They have everything on their desktop, right? They have everything, and so they can set up the markets they want to watch, the intervals they want to watch. They can use any number of the tools that we have. They also get a permanent, and they have a permanent invite to patch into our Zoom link um, at any time during the week. I mean, and when our Zoom link is up from Sunday evening through Friday. We're not running a trading room though. Like we're not running, some of these other things that you might see online because I think I just don't like it. Where you're following some guy and he's, pointing out a candle and a moving average and we're trading here and trade. I don't do that. I don't do that. One, I saw what that's been, years ago what that was, and I didn't like it, and I don't want to subject anybody to it. But if an annual member has something they need or they want, they can call, they can text, they can email, but they can also just patch right in to the Zoom link. And I'm here a lot. Some people say like, when do you sleep? And you always dead in front of the screen. Sometimes I'm not. No. So if they send a message, it'll light up and I'll see it. Um, but but I am here because I want to be here. I want to be here. And also too, for folks that are coming by on YouTube, if you find these numbers big, you're like, holy crap, I could never trade futures because, $7,000 is, I couldn't do that. Well, couple of things. One, it's one mini, right? So you may be thinking that there may be somebody else out there thinking like, I can't believe this guy's spending this time on this. Like 7 grand? I don't give a crap about that. I mean, I'd have to have five of these to even, keep my interest, right? So there's that side of it. But also, too, you can scale down. In this case, the smallest scale you can go to is a micro. So instead of being down 700, 7,600, you'd be down 760. On the week, instead of being up 7,800, you'd be up 780. So, is that right? Is 7,800? No, yeah, you would be up, yeah, 780. You would be down, did I do the math right there? Hey, Keiko. Hey, Donnie. That's what family call me. You family, Keiko? We related? We might be. Um, what was I gonna say? Um, Also too, right? So if this was the start of the week, there is no way, and I was, flat, like this was the beginning of the round. There's no way in hell that I'd let a trade take me down 7,400. I wouldn't do that, right? So I just want everyone to know that, right? You've seen that. I would never, never do that. The only reason I'm doing it here is because we got so much wood in the earlier trade. We got so much wood in the weekly trade that I'm like, you know what? I can afford to do it, right? There is with this, there's like a trade cycle, right? We talk about trade resolution, and we even talk about like a trade cycle. Um, you may have, for instance, in business, if you have salespeople that you manage, or maybe you're a salesperson yourself, they'll refer to it as a sales cycle. And so you may have a whole lot of different products, and some of your products, the sales cycle may be very, very short, and you can punch out the sales and and get done what you need to get done, right? And keep the boss off your ass. On the other side of the coin, though, you may have other products that have a longer sales cycle. And usually you get rewarded more for those. But they take longer. And but if you don't get them, then you're gonna have the boss on your ass, right? So, and this is, I was teaching surgeons how to work with surgical instruments of the day, but I was working for the companies that manufacture those instruments, and we were salespeople. I mean, we had to, we were responsible for growing the business, and getting those instruments and getting those tools and into the hands of the surgeon. But they were different ones. They were all different stuff. And so at the beginning of the year, I'd have to, think through what I was going to do for a sales plan. And what I would try to do at so it's a little bit similar here. I'm just describing this. And I kind of play golf the same way. But what I would do is at the beginning of the year, I would try to punch up my sales with the stuff that had a real short sales cycle. And so that I could, you know, generate income for the company, for me, and get out ahead, right? Get some wood in the trade, get myself well above my quota, right? We were measured constantly, constantly. I don't even know if they do that anymore today. I don't know if the kids could take that, but we were constantly, measured literally day by day. I mean, it was huge. I don't know. There was pressure in the beginning, but you just got acclimated to it and everyone did it, right? I don't know if they could do that today. But but what I would try to do when I was doing that as a business, I would try to go to the stuff that had a shorter sales cycle, punch up my numbers for what I needed to get done, and then And then I would have the time to go to the stuff that took a longer sales cycle and then work on that. And then if I punch those through, then I'd have a banner year. And and that's what I would try to do. So, but I'm not I'm not under that kind of a gun when trading. I'm just not. And when you're working for someone else, you're under the gun. Um, I mean, this is pretty fairly comfortable. But when I described this to Susie this week, I'm like, hey, Susie, we're well ahead of our plan. Let's we got some wood in this. Let's go for the largest sales cycle. What is that largest sales cycle? That was trying on the hour, the hourly in queue. In fact, we can go look at it. Let's go click on this and let's go take a peek at the hour and see she went long 21 hours ago, and that's what put me under pressure. Yeah, she's yet to go short. So, but I'm not trading that. I'm going to put it back, right? I'm not, and put the writing back. I don't know why Zoom is doing that. Um, so, but that's why we're doing it a little bit different. Now, if you are coming in, right? I mean, I just think about this, right? I mean, if you were even coming into, you know, what was my company, years ago, and you had no surgical experience and you didn't know the products and you didn't know the market and you didn't understand the sales cycle and you didn't understand, any of that. Um, it's going to take you some time, you know, and to do that. I could describe that to people, but if you didn't have the skill set and didn't have the experience and the confidence to do it, you weren't going to pull it off. Um, so it just like everything, it just takes some time. But when you're working for someone else, now if you're under the gun, you know, to trade to make money to live on, um, I think it's best to try to do it. Sometimes we get these phone calls like, "Hey, Don, um, I've just retired and I want to trade now." Oh, okay. Um, you know, maybe, but if you can do it while you're, working, kind of multitask a little bit, at least around the edges, and get some experience, monitoring the markets and trading with some options and learning as you go, so that when you do, decide to pull the hook and retire, you can, hit running. Um, I always get a little bit spooked with that because, I've described this, it's a different style. Like if you're working and you've been investing and you've been picking five or six stocks a year, and you might have done really really well with those five or six stocks, and you may have done it for 10 or 15 years, and just happen to catch a bull market, and you caught Apple and you caught Google, and and you've made a big chunk of money, and good, that's really good. I'm happy for you. um but don't delude yourself to thinking that, like, okay, well, when I retire, I'm just going to go do that. Um, you might find out that you can't really duplicate that. And when you try to duplicate it, intraday, all of a sudden you find out like, well, maybe I didn't really have any of that trading game down. Maybe I didn't have the experience that I really needed. So but whatever stage you're in, there's a commitment. I'm not saying that if you just retired not to do it. I think, you got to get started at some point if you're going to do it. But this is an acquired skill set, and it is like flying a plane or a helicopter. And right now, I'm very relaxed. I'm going to feel better if it does it, but I just got to make sure that that my account equity for this week doesn't fall below my weekly plan. I mean, that wouldn't be good. So that's all I have to do this week. So I just, relax and let it circulate through, and I don't have to work that hard. And then next week, we'll get off and do it again. And I'll be back to, our normal schedule. But I just gotta make sure we don't miss the runway, right? If I can describe this to you, this way too, we have a member, Logan, and Logan had no trading experience, none. And he started like everybody, the same. And and he was concerned about, that $200-300 loss, that first one or the first couple or whatever. I mean, because you're gonna have losses and in the trades. But he embraced it. He embraced the approach. So and he started with a relatively small amount with futures, and then he got himself. I don't want to disclose numbers, but they weren't huge, and he got himself to his account where he felt as though he had some wood in the trade. And then he came to me and he said, "Hey Don, can I apply what it is I learned during the Q school to Ethereum?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, you can. And just be careful. I'm not sure that I trust the exchanges." Now, there were no futures contracts on Ethereum, and Ethereum was trading at $20 a coin, $20. And Logan started by buying 1,000 of them. And he didn't short them. He only bought them. And then when his approach, which is actually our approach, we teach him point and figure, he would come out and then he would go back in and then he would come out and he would go back in. Logan's done, 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 done. He would joke with me. He would call me and then ultimately text me and he would say, "Don, I just bought a Camry this week." And I'm like, "Oh, that's good. That's a nice car." He's, "No, no, no. I'm only joking, Don." And I think a Camry costs more today, but back then, what it was is I didn't get it. He's like, "I made 30 grand this week." So every time he would make 30 grand, he would say, "I bought another Camry. I bought another Camry." And and then finally he had bought so many damn Camrys, didn't figuratively buy them, but I'm like, "Logan, you got to be really, really careful about these exchanges. Please, protect your original capital, right? Protect, protect." I'm not sure that I trust the exchanges. Ultimately, he said to me, and I think his story is still on the website. I got to go get it. I think he says it in his own words, but he said, "Don, do you remember when I started?" I said, "I do." And he said, "Do you remember how scared I was about, a $200-300 loss?" "I do." He goes, "Do you know that I have had trades, in the past year that are six figures and I don't even bat an eyelash? It's just, you know, he's doing his thing, he's tracking his profit factor and he's just doing it." And I'm like, "I know." Because isn't that the craziest damn thing? And real person. At the time, he was in his mid 30s, I believe. He had a couple little kids. I'm going to keep his privacy. He's in the Utah area. Went and bought a huge motorhome. Self-educated the kids, pulled the kids out, and they started touring the country. He and his wife. Um, but he was a rare bird. He just was. I remember he was one of our original folks, that I remember. And he was just very, very smart, very opportunistic. Some may say, he was fortunate at this, but you know what? He would have found it anyway. So if it wasn't Ethereum, it would have been something else. And he's, probably doing a lot of other things that I don't know about. But he was very, very constructive for us. We learned a lot from Logan, and there were different things. One of the things was Zoom. We came to be using Zoom um, from Logan, and so it was before COVID and all that. I'm like, wow, this is really good technology and stuff. So we had folks that even, bought Zoom at, 25, $30 a share before the COVID deal. Zoom used to be really, really good too from a support standpoint, and then it got shitty when everyone's using it. Um, but it came from him. And he also made, great suggestions to us. I remember the phone call that he made to us. We didn't have Q School then entirely. And he called, introduced himself, which is nice. He said, "Hello, my name is Logan." Um, Sometimes that's a lost start, but talking on the phone. But um, and he just said, "Don, I've been watching you, listening to you, and everything, and I just want you to know, I've never traded a thing." I'm like, okay. And I didn't really expect that, in the early days. I always thought somebody would be into trading, so I'm like, okay, where are we going here? This goes back years ago, and he just said, I want to know what you know. That's what he said. I'm like, huh, okay. But you've never traded anything? No. Never traded a stock? No. Don't know anything about them. You ever trade futures? No. I'm like, wow. Okay. I wasn't sure. I mean, now I'm okay with that, right? But at the time, I was like, whoa, I don't know. What are we going to do here? So what happened was with Logan, and this is before Q School, but this is how we got to develop Q School. I said, I tell you what I'll do. I said, I don't know. I actually told him, I said, I don't know if I can get you to know everything that I know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how long it would take. I don't know. But I'll try to do the best I can. But I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll make you a probably a 1 to 2 hour video. I'll make you one. I won't even, for him, this goes back years ago, said I won't even charge you for it. I'm just going to make it for you. I'm not even sure where I'm going to start. Um, but I'm going to take it on as a challenge, and I'm going to just send it to you. And he's like, okay. And I said, and if you like it, then you pay me for the time, and we agreed on a price. And then you send me, you pay me for my time, and then I'll make you another video. And if you like it, then you pay for it. That's the way we structured it. He's like, okay. He goes, how many videos do you think there'll be? And I said, I really don't know. I don't know. Um, I said, but when you get to a place where you think you're ready to go, I mean, I think you'll know. So we did that. And in that time was pretty basic, but they were hours, still hours long. Um, we did a total of five, and we called it. You ever hear the book Hogan's Five Easy Lessons? So we called it Logan's. I still got them. Logan's Five Easy Lessons. By the way, when we were doing it, Tesla was like at 30, $40 a share or something like that. It was just going public, and we were using point and figure back then, which we still use even today. But that's embedded in the video, which is outrageous to go back and look at it. And and that's what we did. But that turned out to be the cornerstone, just that cornerstone to the Q School. And now the Q School is 3+ weeks, and it goes into it much more. And Q School will evolve, and we will be doing it again. We refresh it, do it again, we will. Um, and but once you go through the Q School, you never have to go through it again. And if we do revise it, you still, if you're a member still, you still get that benefit. But that's where it came from, and it really kind of stemmed from Logan, and that's where he was. But he was, that was his approach. Versus, as an example, and one of the questions that I like to ask people sometimes too before they go is like, well, how much money are you trying to make? Logan just wanted to learn. If I can just be profitable, Doc, I just want to be just profitable on a regular basis. I'm like, okay, well, we can work that through. As opposed to maybe another person that I asked that question to, and he was from the Balkans in Europe. He was from the Balkans. And he said to me, when I asked him, I said, how much money you need to make, on a monthly basis? And he said, 2 to 3x. And I didn't even know what he meant. I'm like, well, 2 to 3x. I don't get it. He was like 2 to 3 times my account. I'm like, oh, okay. So like if you have a $30,000 account, you want to make 2 to 3 times that on a monthly basis? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I want to make like 60 or 90,000 a month. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, well, good luck, because I can't I can't do that for you. But but I'm not going to tell you you can't do that. Maybe you can. You're going to have to risk the whole account every single day. Every single day, the whole account. If he gets it at 30, he gets it to 60 or 90. He's going to have to risk it every day, you know. So, um, but I'm not going to, waste my time with someone who has unreal expectations because if you have, I didn't really expect to go here, but if a person has unreal expectations of anything, think about that. You have unreal expectations of anything, you are going to be disappointed. You just thought, whatever. Now, is it that something that disappoints you, or is it you that disappoints you because you're not grounded in reality? So, I want to work with those that are, grounded in reality and because I don't want to see anyone waste their time and I don't want to waste mine. I hope that makes sense. So I digress a little bit and tell that story. But exactly. And you know, in the past, it was probably one of our greatest moments, teaching moments. And at the same time, maybe a sad moment because I certainly had the firepower. I certainly could have bought 1,000 Ethereums. Certainly could have done it. Certainly could have done it with Bitcoin. Certainly could have done it. I didn't. Um, and but I don't beat myself up over it. I've done it in the past on other things that went to nothing, and I had some others that great, some other things. Um, so it always depends where you are. I do think that if you're in your 20s and 30s, I think that you really should be, really shaking the tree in whatever it is you're doing. If you're in college, I think you should be shaking that tree. I think you should be getting the most out of that place as you possibly can. Make those professors work their ass off. Challenge the hell out of them. And if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're working for another company, I mean, shake the hell out of it. Make them work. Get the most out of it. Really, shake it. As you get older, hopefully you've, realized the fruits of some of that shaking. I hope so. You know, you may not need to do it, you know. You may not need to do it. And I think that, you got to be, grounded and real. You only have to get rich once. You don't have to do it 2 or 3 times, right? And so you got to think that through. And we even have that kind of discussion. I never want to know anyone's, personal situation. I don't need to know. Nobody needs to know. But I do think you should have a framework of, what this is, what it's about, how it fits into your picture. And we have a very frank conversation about that right in the beginning because I think it's that important. Um, so hopefully that kind of makes a little bit of sense. If any of this does and it resonates with you, be sure to visit the site, reach out. you're welcome to call us. As a new monthly member, if you want to get the Cook's tour on Zoom, you let me know on a given day. We'll schedule it early in the morning. I'll give you a tour and then let you hang out the rest of the day and see what you see and get a chance to see what this is about and think about it. Think about what we want to do. You're not going to learn this you're not even going to learn this at Princeton. I'm sorry, they're not going to do that. You're not going to learn this at on CNBC. You're not gonna learn it from. I think TradeStation is phenomenal with its tools and its teaching on its tools, but but the trading aspect of it, I think you want to find somebody that's doing it. That's all. And then whatever it is you're doing, though, understand, and we say it here, we say it on the website, learn to trade your game. Understand that, you're going to filter it, you're going to adopt some stuff, you're going to dismiss other stuff, and you're going to work to develop your game, your swing that is comfortable to you so that you can impact the ball at in a good place and have a nice, decent round of golf. Are you going to be Logan and, shoot in the 60s? I don't know. But we just don't, I hope you're not in the 100. If you find out, sometimes, not many, we have had, some people, I had one person say after did okay, but during the Q school said, oh shit, Don, I didn't appreciate there was this involved. I don't have the time for this. So I was a little bit shocked. Sorry about that. Abby had one of her squeak toys that didn't quite sound right. But in any case, so it's all about, putting yourself in position to be able to, take advantage of market opportunities, of your trade opportunities, investment opportunities. If you're around it and you're in a community, we certainly got eyes on a lot of different things. We can look at it on different timetables. We do invest, right? We do and want to invest. An investment for us is something that's going to be over a year or longer. I'm just not prone to do it now because I know, from all of our other technicals that these markets are on borrowed time. And when you have a rising tide, everything goes up, everything goes up. Everybody's the smartest guy in the room. Everybody gets rich. But when the tide goes out, you're going to find out, who's skinny dipping. And, and I work for some fine companies. I don't want to say that, but I think if anyone works for these companies, I mean, you got to know they lie, right? I mean, they want to get those stock options and they want to get and so when you get these corrections, and that's what's so dangerous about the market when you go you know usually bull markets last about 6 to 7 years. We got a bull market that's lasted since 2000 March of 2009. How many of the years is that? 10, we're 14 15 years in to this bull. We haven't really had a correction. We had the COVID thing, but that wasn't really sustainable. You want to find out. And so when you don't purge that, um, it can become very unstable. My view. Now, normally bear markets usually last around 18 months. But you know what? I mean, if we had a bull market for 14 years, could we have a bear market for 7 years? Yeah, we could. We could, you know. And now, can you make money in a bear market? Absolutely. Make great money in a bear market. Some of the best rallies occur during a bearish phase. You just saw one in the last couple of days, I think. I don't think we're yet in a bear market, by the way. We're not. We're not. And when the bear comes, I will say this, having lived through them, it's really, really debilitating. I mean, you'll know it, we'll know it, we'll see it, and it really, and I don't, I don't even think '08. I don't even consider '08 a bear market. I mean, it was a big correction, but the dot-com was a bear because that lasted for a couple of years, and it really flushes everybody out. It gets to the point where they don't even, like when the crypto goes into a bear market, you won't even be able to find anybody that even will admit that they put any money in it. You won't be any, they won't even talk about it. It'll just be gone. Now it might even, it might come back or anything, but they just won't want to talk about it. I mean, even Apple, Apple survived the bear market, namely because of Steve Jobs. But I mean, that thing got down to like $4 or $5 a share, for God's sakes. Um, when the iPod come out and we started looking like, who the hell makes the iPod and Apple? I'm like, Jesus, I didn't even know they were still in business. And it was like, I don't know, $15 a share or something. And of course, got off and running. But you do need to have, in my view, you got to have these, control burns, um, or it could set up for, a conflagration, and it just takes everything with it, including the good companies. And I think that that's possible here because we haven't had any real control burns, and it's all been engineered by the same people who gave us all the other crap these last several years, in the last 10, 15 years. They give us all kinds of crap. They thought they could jury rig everything and that they could engineer out, any recession. I mean, young people today, I'm glad you haven't really experienced any, but um, it's just a normal part of life and a normal part of a capitalist system. They think they've engineered like no more recessions. Maybe they have. I doubt it, but there's a lot of people who don't think so. You have, depending upon how old you are. I mean, we know what that was like. I mean, we started in it. I mean, our career started. Um, so any case. But we're not out to change anyone's belief system. So anybody get any questions about who we are, what we're about, be sure to visit the site. Get any questions about what you're seeing right here, right now. If you want us to plug anything in, let me know. And we're going to let you watch up until about 12:30. Then I do need the screen. Um, and so we'll let you watch for the next 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and I'll just shut up. I see that Tulsi is in front of the senators. Keep talking. Keep talking. Um, I see that she's in front of them. She's the one. She's the linchpin. I hope she gets in. I kind of doubt she will because she's in front of the bastards. Those are the guys. Those are the Brutuses in there on both sides of the aisle. She needs to get in for all of our sakes and for Trump's sake. They don't want her in, and they want to plug somebody in. They're going to find out. I think you're going to find out. We're going to find out a lot of stuff about JFK and all that stuff, but more recently, we're going to find out those senators got the foreign bank accounts and who have stuffed millions in those accounts, courtesy of Ukraine. If she gets in, that's what's at play. They can't come out and do it, so they'll attack her for all kinds of bullshit. But and I think Trump is, I think he, if I think he's transcended whatever he was after the assassination. I don't, I think I don't know. He just has a different demeanor. He has, to me, I think he's surrounding himself with very different people. And I think he has some sort of divine view, use that word, divine view, that his life was spared to expose the shit that we're in. And we as Americans here, and I know we may have some folks outside the country, I probably wouldn't say this outside the country, but I'm here in the country and Americans know we got some badass people here. Yeah, and even that was Ted. Ted was, you know what? Ted just gave that a big snort. Yeah, we do. We do. So it I understand that China goes through what they call a purge. I'm not a big China fan and they're communists, but we need a purge, and sunlight is the best disinfectant of all. It needs to get exposed. But you watch, they're gonna come at her hammer and tongue, and it's gonna say a lot. If she can get in, yeah, then I think we're in really, really good shape. If she doesn't, well, we know they're dirty, and we'll see. What do you think, Ted? I'll be back in a minute. Okay, everyone, it's pushing 12:30. I'm gonna wait another minute or two, and then we'll need to say goodbye. I want to say thank you as always, Keiko and folks for stopping by. I appreciate it. When we do these punch ups, we're not trying to prove anything. We're not trying to prove an outcome. We're not. Um, we're just trying to create some awareness of how we go about trading. And if that resonates with you and that encourages you to look at the site and you think you want to give it a go and you want to learn to play your game, you won't hit the club exactly the same way. No one will. Susan doesn't. It's always different. It's always different. And but we'll do our best to impart the lessons that we've learned. Some of them are hard, some of them were very hard. We tell you, you know, I mean, been there, done that. And I'm very respectful of these markets, very, very humble, very, very cautious. I'm not, a wild-eyed, oh, let's, just, no, no, I'm not prone to gambling. I don't gamble. I don't drink alcohol, not that it matters, but I'm a very sober person. I don't smoke weed, pretty boring. Um, I have a very sober view. I understand exactly what my role is for Susan and me every week, every month of what I need to be doing. Fortunately, it's something I really, really like to do. I don't know why. I just do. I always have. And I think it's a big part of it. I think in whatever it is you do, was talking to a very nice, friendly neighbor the other day, and we were having that conversation. And um, I just think that, if you can be doing something that you love to do, I loved, at the time, what I was doing. I just didn't like working for other people, though. I kind of wanted, we were kind of our own CEO of sorts, but still, I was part of a bigger corporation, a very big corporation, and so you had to deal with that. But um, today we don't have to. We do think we do think um, as as long as we stay over our weekly plan, we're going to remain short this NQ. So I want you to know that. If we revisit the low of Monday morning, I want you to know that, our account will be at about 45,000. If we revisit the low overnight, overnight, yeah, we'll be in excess of 54, maybe pushing 60. And if we accelerate, we'll be even higher. I'm not encouraging anyone to do that sort of thing, right? We're not. It's very unique here. So when we're trading intraday, depending upon where you are, we're still on a very disciplined, you know, um, glide slope. We think the markets have established a new slope, and we're playing for that. But come Friday, or later today, or probably sometime tomorrow, this trade will probably come to an end, and the account will be where it'll be, and then we'll resume next week doing what we normally do, and we'll just go from there, right? So no rush. 24 trading days in a month if you trade every single day futures. Take off Fridays, they're at 20. $100 a day, 100 is 2,000 bucks. 200 is 4,000. 500 is 10,000. 1,000 is 20 grand. Sprinkle in some option activity, a couple big fat tunas. Next thing you know, you might be looking back saying, what the hell was that all about? What the hell was I listening to? What the hell was I thinking? Why did I hodl Bitcoin? I mean, if you're in Bitcoin and you bought it at 10 cents, okay, fine. I'm not going to But if you put your entire IRA into Bitcoin at at 95,000 or 100,000, oof, okay, good luck. I don't know. Maybe it's going to a million, maybe it isn't, right? Maybe before it goes to a million, it goes to 30,000 a coin. Are you prepared for that? You prepared to, do you get a choke point, a puke point, they call it, where you just can't stand it? Your wife says, or your partner, you just lost 70% of our retirement money? On what? Well, when's it coming back? I don't know. Oh, maybe it never comes back. So that's not something we do. It's not something we teach, not something we suggest. If you want to hodl something, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold, oil, I don't care what it is, a stock, learn to hedge it so that when the bugger pulls back, you don't lose all your value. You don't want to be all in one way or the other for extended periods of time. The most successful investor, trader in the history of the United States is Jim Simons, not Warren Buffett. Check him out. Good luck, everybody.